Welcome to another episode of Zero Ales and Hockey Tales with Wally. And today I'm so excited to have on a 37-year-old from Cincinnati, Ohio, USA, just down the road from Daytona Beach, Ohio. His hockey journey has taken him to the USA, Croatia, and Germany. Broke into pro hockey with his hometown Cincinnati Mighty Ducks, a staple of the Milwaukee Admirals, Las Vegas Wranglers, and Utah Grizzly organizations. But he spread his wings with Medveskak Zagreb in the KHL and Ebel, and is now running amok and has the sharpest skates in the DEL with the Straubing Tigers, and is probably crushing vice versa schnitzels in between games like yours truly. His hockey journey took him from the Southern Pro League, East Coast Hockey League, AHL, Ebel, KHL, and DEL. Welcome to the shed, Jeff Maxwell.
Hey, thanks a lot for having me there, Wally. It's great to be here.
Yeah, man. See, round two wasn't that bad, eh? I could do the intros
No. You have a whole other level of that you can keep on bringing. I love it.
Yeah, his internet cut out. Apparently, we needed an update right away, but we just met. So Here we go.
Yep.
How we know each other. Dease.
Yeah, through Dease, the toothless wonder, the acquired taste. But he's a great guy, like you said.
Well, I loved it when he was our equipment manager in Cardiff. Me and him did pregame speeches together. I'm sure you've heard, but he kept the room light, but he also kept guys accountable by chirping them ruthlessly if they weren't putting their shit away. Right.
Yeah. He has like no kill either. No political correct button. Just go, go, go.
Yeah. No, the mouth might need a filter every once in a while, but we've misplaced it. But how did you meet him then?
So the name of the team in Zagreb there is Medveskak.
Whatever. I can't. If you think I'm going to remember that. Medveskak.
Oh, so whatever. When I went there, we ended up having training camp in Cardiff for about 10 days. And even Todd from Cardiff, who organized the whole thing, he's like the owner, GM or whatever there at Cardiff. He organized the whole thing. He still couldn't say Medveskak by the end of it. 10 days. So I don't expect you to. But we had training camp there in Cardiff when they opened the new building for like 10 days and then played 2 exhibition games at the end of the 10 days.
I kind of remember that. Wasn't your coach the Gordy Dwyer guy?
Yeah, that was Gordy. Yeah, Gordy was our coach that the 2 years, or my coach the 2 years I worked there. Or the 2 years. A lot of
North
KHL.
American guys on that team too, right?
Yeah, definitely. Because a lot of guys you get passports for. They have like Croatian grandparents.
So you probably know David Amonte because he was the one. He said on his episode, the agent there, he said he was helping guys that had last names end in IC. They would all get Croatian passes.
Yeah. I do know Amonte from a couple different connections. Utah Grizzlies, so he was always kind of around when I was there. And the only time I've ever used an agent to find a job, it was David Amonte when Medveskak went, as you like to say, went tits up in the middle of the season. We had all the money was gone.
I have that on the notes. Halfway through the season, tits up ?
That's exactly what happened. Like the sponsors were gone, the imports got see you later. All the imports were sent out of town, and so I just a bunch of players on my team at the time were using Amonte as an agent, and he actually mentioned to one of them, like, "What's Maxie doing?" And
that's
he
the
said,
thing,
"Tell Maxie to call me."
Yeah, because once a team has an equipment guy for the year, usually they don't switch, right?
Yeah. Like finding a job mid-season was the craziest thing that ever happened to me. And I've actually done it twice. So it's kind of funny.
You've done it twice. I didn't see the other time, but I never had to do that as a player, but I tell you, it would sure be stressful.
Yeah, especially like I had a newborn, like I had a little over 1-year-old at the time, and my wife is from Zagreb. So like I was like, okay, we're setting roots. Like we're gonna be here. This is gonna be home. We're gonna be here forever.
And you've been there for 4 years, right?
Yeah, that's it. All of a sudden, it's like my kid's like a little bit past 1. He's like 1 and 4 months at the time. And all of a sudden, it's like, oh hey, you got to go, and like to the other side of Germany. All right, like it's far away, but make it work.
It was almost like when I went in for my exit meeting with Sunderjuski after finishing second in the league and scoring and win the championship, and they're like, yeah, we don't want you back. And you're like,
yeah.
Oh, so I got a little kid and a wife, and like my job's a hockey player. And now I just got asked to not be back in Denmark after what I've just done. And I'm like, wow, am I like a bad guy? Like, do people not want me? But
yeah, you just never know what's going to happen like that. It's a
and
crazy business.
when it's your job and it's your profession and that's how you pay for your family is once kids are involved, man, she's a lot more stressful, eh?
Yeah, you know what, it is, but I'll tell you, like you mentioned the other day when you had Canzy on Montreal at the same time, you're talking about like sometimes not getting paid on time and things like that. Like, man, I got crazy stories about that in Zagreb. It's like as soon as it all went bad in Zagreb, they like I was actually having like bad back problems, bad headaches, and all this. And as soon as it finally was like, okay, this is done, like my headaches were gone, my back problems are gone, and they owed me a ton of money. But I was like, well, okay, like that's done. I'm not gonna get this now. Like, and that just is what it is. And it was kind of like stress when that ended, went away, but it was a whole new stress having to find what's next, or move to Germany where me or my wife don't speak the language. And
yeah, no, it's well, I can't imagine. Yeah. Well, so in Croatia, they didn't have the type of system where like in Germany, it was the government would like subsidize the players that when the teams went bankrupt, they would pay like, I think it was 80% for the rest of the year, right?
yeah, no, there's nothing like that. It's the wild, wild west there, man. Like, I don't know how much I could say or should say, but I'll just say it. Like, I know that the one owner even legally divorced his wife, put all his stuff in her name, and they still lived in the same house, and he filed bankruptcy. Right? So he owes a ton of money. He's got money, and he just is like, oh no, it's not mine anymore. It's my wife's. We divorced, so it's hers.
That's some shady shit right there. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Like it's like
oh, that's tough. That sucks that happened, everybody. Okay, another one then, before we get too far away from how we know each other. You mentioned sure. Tim Donnelly.
Yeah. Timmy D was my first like boss in hockey with the Cincinnati Mighty Ducks. So he was the head guy, and they had no assistant. My sister, who was working in the front office, kind of hooked me up with the job. So Tim and I became close, and I mean, I text with him almost every day. Still,
eh?
Yeah. I visit, like, he's living in Cincinnati now, doesn't do the hockey thing anymore, but I visit him every time I go home in the summer. He's come over to Europe to see me twice.
Is that right?
So, yeah. He actually came to Lithuania to help me out with Team Croatia for a week, even one time.
That's a small world. I remember we used to see who could do the hardest Sudoku in Daytona Beach, Ohio.
yeah. That Daytona Beach is that's got its own crazy stories from those days, I hear.
It was wild stuff, man. I was on an AHL deal, so I didn't have any issues getting paid, but rumor has it there's a few guys, and then there's also guys that were getting called up and the coach was stopping it.
I believe I could tell you a name of one of those players.
Scott Ford.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, Scott Ford. yeah. Donnie McAdam, man, that guy loved his beers, but he didn't really love his players to get him out of there like that.
Didn't really help their careers out by letting them spread their wings in the AHL.
That's for sure. That's what I hear about him. But it seemed to work out for Fordo in the long run after getting into the Milwaukee organization in Nashville, and they love him there. Now he's been there forever.
That's what I was gonna say, folks. This was a guy I played with in Daytona Beach. I had heard about it when it was happening during that season. Was he got called up and they stopped it, saying I don't know how they stopped it, but they stopped a call up or said that he didn't want to go without talking to him or something like that. So then he doesn't get to go up. But then, once you're in Daytona Beach for a full year, she's hard to get out of there. And he did work his way up to becoming a captain of the Milwaukee Admirals, and now is a coach in the AHL, is he not?
Yeah, I believe he's the assistant coach there. It's been a long time since I've been in touch with him, but I do know it kind of worked out for him there. He played there for a number of years. Maybe ended up in Peoria for a little bit, ended up getting traded back to Milwaukee, and then stayed there till retirement. I know that the Nashville organization has a lot of respect for him.
Yeah, I did too. He's a great teammate. Job
comes from.
Yeah, and it's a small world. He was in the same Daytona Beach complex with me, and like he was Justin Miser's roommate. And yeah, no, it was quite the year. Yeah. Okay, so I guess you're from Cincinnati though, but we'll get into that. The other guy that reached out when I said you're coming on, Bryce Dick from Vegas.
Oh,
we're with him.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, Pokey's kid. Yeah. Yeah, that's always the first thing that pops into my head was Pokey's kid, because I played like beer league with Pokey there.
Oh,
And
really?
then all of a sudden, yeah. And then all of a sudden his son jumps on the team and it's kind of cool. Bryce was a great guy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. He's a
Well,
shed
God,
guy. He's been on.
yeah, he has. We had a terrible team that year, but we had so much fun. And that was the year that Curzio's team had to fold mid-season,
The San
unfortunately.
Francisco Bulls.
And man, that there were 9 teams and only 8 made playoffs. And when that team folded, they just said, "Hey, all 8 make it playoffs." So we just had fun. No, we were making playoffs.
Anything can happen if you make the playoffs.
Yeah, I had like a playoff streak going. Like I've only not made playoffs 2 times in my career, and I think I made it up into my first like 13 years, and that's one of the years.
How many times have you, what?
17 seasons, 15 years in the playoffs.
Yeah. Okay. That's
Yeah,
pretty good.
so I think, but like the only reason the streak went for so long was because that season in Vegas where just everybody made it.
So do you have any championships?
No championships. Lost in a finals in Milwaukee. Lost in a semifinals 2 different times also in New Mexico there and in Louisiana.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm almost done with how we know each other. But research team saw you're with Straubing now, so I checked it out. Obviously one shed guy's jersey's retired there, Elfy, right? Calvin Elfring.
Yeah. I've got the pleasure to meet him maybe like one time. Because I think you played with Billy True a little bit, maybe.
I have him written down, but our paths crossed
Okay.
at Oktoberfest. He was with Canzy and when I first showed up.
Okay.
And the other time he was the imported Landsuit that played 4 games to start the season, waiting for his German pass. And then he was going to Straubing, and then that's when they signed me. So I basically replaced him on the roster in Landsuit that year.
Okay, yeah. So because I was here, my first year was the year that Billy's jersey got retired here. So that was actually
what's
the
he,
last time.
42? What number was he?
4?
4? I was a little off.
4. Yeah.
I'd have never seen him play, actually.
Yeah. So that's the only way I know Billy. And that's the last time I saw Canzo. But he was on my team. Canzanella was on my team in Cincinnati.
Research team found that. Yeah. So you already knew Canzy. He would have just been a young punk back then.
That was his first year. I went and told him that when he was here. I went up and introduced myself. I said, "You're never going to remember me, but I was with your team in Cincinnati forever ago." And like, kind of one of those guys you forget about. Then I get over here and found out he was like almost a legend here in Straubing. Like he was here for so long.
He was there forever. Like the left side of their decor were Elfy and Canzy forever.
When they did that game here, sold out crowd for like the Billy True testimonial game. You know, it's like jersey retirement and 4 exhibition teams just kind of playing. And I would say when like Canzanello got introduced, it was one of the louder roars from the fans that were pumped he was here.
Well, he's a beauty. I would give him one of the biggest roars of all the shed guys that have come on.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's such a small world. This hockey world is tiny, man.
It is tiny. And that's actually the only time I really went to Straubing was to see Canzy, and I slept over. My wife and I went there. We slept over and we went out for like a steak dinner and spent the night having drinks or whatever. And then headed back for practice the next morning. But that's the only time I've been to Straubing was to see that. And then they were renovating the arena at the time, I think.
Yeah, well, they're getting ready to start more renovations here because it's much needed, but it's an exciting process they're getting ready to start here.
Yeah, I know for sure.